To discuss all of it, Bobby Burack, columnist over at Outkick. As always, Bobby, good to have you with us.
Vince, happy to be here.
Okay, so it wasn't an exciting Super Bowl. Let's just start there. It was, it was a blowout, which is not what you want to see.
No, and not only that, it was a very anticlimactic blowout. See, sports fans often complain when a game's not close. And I get it, but sometimes that makes for a good story. A couple of years ago, the Seahawks dominated the Denver Broncos in similar fashion. But see, that was fine because the storyline going in was the number one offense led by Peyton Manning versus the number one defense led by Richard Sherman in this Legion of Boom. So that domination played in. Last night, there really wasn't much of a storyline. The Chiefs couldn't hold up on the offensive line. They couldn't get pressure. It was just a bad game, probably the worst Super Bowl I can remember watching.
Do you think Taylor Swift is at all disturbed by her latest record of losing? It's just she endorsed Kamala Harris, big loss. She decided to date this guy, Travis Kelce. She thought he was her meal ticket to a Super Bowl win. Big loss yesterday. And here is what happened when she was shown on the big screen inside the stadium. Just boos and a sad look on her face. She seemed confused. She's not used to a stadium full of people booing her.
Yeah, well, so this reminds me, you remember in August there was this New York Times Siena poll that said Taylor Swift had a lower approval rating than Donald Trump? We all scoffed at that, saying, well, she's a celebrity, he's a presidential candidate. Starting to wonder, Vince, maybe that is true. Maybe Taylor Swift is very unpopular despite having some really her fan base is large, don't get me wrong. But those that are not her fans, they don't have lukewarm opinions on her. They don't like her.
Yeah, kind of interesting. I'm not all in on despising her. I just think she's kind of a goof, and I think it was so stupid that she endorsed Kamala. But wouldn't she have been a better halftime show than Kendrick Lamar? Why is she up in the box? Shouldn't she be on the field performing?
Yes, I got a lot of opinions on this. There's some people really, really mad at me because I didn't like the performance. Some people say it's because I'm racist and hate hip hop. No,
some
not
people
true,
say.
Not true. Some people say, right, it's all good. But here's what I think's happening, Vince. Kendrick Lamar was the first halftime performer post-monoculture, right? If we look at the previous performers, they made their names in the monoculture where things were mainstream. He is a relatively niche performer. So my problem more than anything was I didn't know any of the songs but the one that referenced Drake. And I assume if I don't know, who follows things pretty closely at work in media and online a lot, probably most Americans are like, we can't understand him. We don't know that song. I think that was why it was such a bad performance.
Well, didn't he perform as a part of that big hip-hop performance a couple years ago? So it was Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige. That was, talk about accessible, that was at least much more broadly accessible. People knew the music. It was fun. They were bouncing back and forth between performers. I mean, if you're going to do a hip-hop halftime show, it probably should look more like that than what we saw last night.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the numbers today. Believe it or not, I'm actually writing a column on him right now. The last monoculture rapper was Kanye West. People knew who he was, whether you liked him or not.
Whatever happened to that guy?
Yeah. I don't know where he's at. I'm not sure if he was available to perform or not.
He's been going absolutely crazy on social media this past week. Just in case anybody's not on X, don't look at Kanye's Twitter. That's all I can recommend. It's not going well right now.
Well, an update, I just found this out because I'm writing a story. He has deleted his Twitter. Elon didn't do it. Kanye has removed himself from Twitter. Not sure why, but we are.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you though. You were taking a look back though. He was the sort of the last generally accessible guy.
Yeah, I mean, Kendrick Lamar's numbers are actually pretty small. Like, he has a new album that comes out and it sells 100,000 copies. Well, Kanye West would sell 800,000 in the first week. So would Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z, a bunch of other rappers that I didn't listen to. But the point is that Kendrick Lamar was not on the same level as previous performers, whether it be Prince, the Rolling Stones, Rihanna, Snoop Dogg. So I think a lot of people were just like, wait a minute, who is this guy? What is that
Of
song?
course.
What is he even saying?
Yeah, and it's not what you want for a halftime show. You're supposed to have a massive draw. Instead, it was kind of a massive yawn. So let me ask you about the NFL, what they're up to.
Hmm.
So there's this, there's been a lot of headlines over the fact that they yanked the phrase "end racism" out of the end zones, and they went with "choose love." Now, I was just saying that I think that they should get rid of all of the messages. Like, there's no reason for a message on the field. I don't need a billboard. I just need a field with lines on it so I know if you scored or not.
Yeah.
What is the NFL up to, do you think? And are they reading the writing on the wall that people are done being lectured by the football games they watch?
So there was a study that came out last week that for the first time since 2016, Republican support for the NFL is back to its pre-Kaepernick heights, meaning in 2016, Kaepernick knelt and support among Republicans in the NFL plummeted. It has taken them nearly a decade to regain that, and the NFL has now seen record numbers on the same level as 2015, which was pre-anthem controversy. I think this is a business decision of, hey, we finally have real momentum, let's remove all this. But this isn't all that dissimilar to what happened in the NBA. See, after George Floyd died and the country lost its mind and declared everyone racist, the NFL, or the NBA rather, printed the words Black Lives Matter on the court. Well, ratings then dropped 50%. Was it because they promoted Black Lives Matter? Well, I don't know, but the NBA sure thinks so, because then they removed those words when the ratings continue to drop, and then they saw a spike. So I think this is mostly just business, the NFL realizing people do not want political messaging associated with football, and why would they?
Yeah. One other thing I have a suspicion about, and I could be wrong, but I've been wrong before. But last night, one of the things that they included that the NFL has been doing now, I guess, in the last few years, perhaps, is they included a rendition of "Lift Every Voice and Sing," which is a great poem turned into a song. It was first originally publicly performed to honor Abraham Lincoln's birthday, so is a fixture as an American tradition. But it's been presented in years past and now recently as the so-called, quote, Black national anthem, which is a stupid thing because you're supposed to have just one national anthem rather than to sow division. And interestingly, they had this rendition yesterday, "Lift Every Voice and Sing." The PA announcer never referred to it as the Black national anthem. That wasn't included on screen or wasn't said out loud. And in fact, the performance itself seemed like it was done almost an hour before kickoff. Like, they actually did it way before the events of the game began. So my suspicion here is that the NFL was kind of trying to have it both ways. They wanted to include it, but then they kind of didn't really want it that close to game time because they didn't want to create any more controversy for themselves. Do I have that right?
Yes, and there's another angle to this that I did not know, but I just heard within the last hour from Clay Travis, who founded Outkick, the site for which I write. So Fox broadcasted the Super Bowl this year, and he was out there with people throughout the weekend, and he reported on his radio show that Fox was very involved in the pregame festivities, and they ordered their cameramen to point the camera at Trump during one of the pregame songs that referenced the word fight. They wanted to recall the fight, fight, fight after he was assassinated. So hearing that...
Attempted assassination, just to be clear.
Sorry, attempted assassination. Very, very good.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is, so the way the Super Bowl works is it rotates every 4 years. So Fox gets it 1 year, then CBS, then NBC, then now ESPN is also in that rotation. So I'll be curious to see what it looks like next year when NBC has it, then CBS, then Disney.
Yeah.
It sounds like there was some Fox involvement in this.
You would think so, because it's their television broadcast, so they're going to have final say on most of the elements. But what was the deal with them not showing Trump on camera most of the time? It's kind of interesting to me that you have the sitting president of the United States. It's never been done before. No president's ever been to a Super Bowl while they were president. President Trump goes. He was on camera, as far as I'm aware, at least related to the game, only for the national anthem, and that was it?
Yeah, I was very curious how they would do this. And I've spoken to networks in the past, and previously Trump had attended football games. They would tell me, well, because of equal time laws, we can't show him, even though I think if they offer Harris equal time, they could have, but whatever. I don't really know what the reason was behind it, not showing him. I think they should have, not for political reasons, but just because he was the first president to ever attend a Super Bowl, so I thought it'd be interesting to show his reaction more often. But yeah, as far as I know, he was not shown at all during the actual game, which is probably going to have 120 million viewers.
Did they show Taylor Swift very much?
Not nearly as much as they have. I mean, more than Trump. They showed other celebrities, but no, they didn't focus a lot on the crowd. They were much more focused on, I think, the faces of Mahomes and Andy Reid because they were getting, slapped around like teams don't usually get slapped around in the Super Bowl.
Yes, they were. They were definitely getting slapped around. Okay, and finally, any standout commercials for you last night? That's always the big thing that people watch. If they're not watching for the game, they're actually watching for the commercials. This might be the first time in a long time that I barely watched those either. What did you make of the commercial offerings last night?
Vince, I'm not going to lie to you. I can't remember a single one because I was so disgusted by the game that I was during commercial break. I was thinking, what went wrong? What could have been a better Super Bowl matchup? So I don't even remember any of the commercials. No, I don't want to be dramatic, but I hated all of it. I hated halftime. I hated the game. I hated the festivities beforehand, the pregame stuff.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an awful night. And my friend Jason Whitlock, who I know you've had on the show,
Yeah.
he claimed that this is the night the NFL peaked and that we'll look back and say that was the night the NFL lost popularity and lost its way. I'm almost there because I'm so disgusted by what happened last night, just all around. It was such a bad showing for the brand of football. Like, usually after the Super Bowl, I'm kind of depressed. Like, okay, no more football until Labor Day.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not going to miss football this time because that game was so bad all around. The officiating was awful, too. Flag after flag, most of which weren't even penalties. It just got me so mad.
Yeah, all right. Well, there you go. Patooey. You don't like it. Bobby Burack, as always, from Outkick. Great to talk to you, sir. Always appreciate it.